This is Fido Friendly Travel Talk. Here's your host, Susan Sims.
Hey everybody, it's Susan Sims with Fido Friendly Travel Talk, brought to you by Animal Radio, where we talk about the travel and lifestyle for you and your furry best friend. My guest today is Dr. Renee Schmid, a board-certified veterinary toxicologist and Director of Veterinary Medicine at Pet Poison Helpline. Hi, Dr. Schmid. Welcome to the show.
Hi, thank you so much for having me.
It's my pleasure. So tell us a little bit about Pet Poison Helpline. Why did you get involved?
Yeah, so Pet Poison Helpline is a 24-hour animal poison center. So we take calls from all around the country, North America, and really kind of anywhere over the world that knows about us, about any type of animal that could have gotten into something potentially poisonous. And I got into it really just kind of, I would almost say by accident. I was looking for something, a new challenge. I'd been in general practice and emergency work and academia before joining Pet Poison Helpline. And when I saw that they had an opening, I realized that the experiences that I had had previously were a great fit. And I'd always kind of liked toxicology, but never envisioned myself having this as a full-time career. But I'm so glad that I found Pet Poison Helpline, and I've been here for 13 years now. So it's been really a fun area of veterinary medicine to contribute to.
Wow, that's so amazing. It's so important. And so I can only imagine the types of calls you receive. But beyond, you said other animals. So beyond our cats and dogs, what other animals are people calling the helpline for?
You know what? You name it. So last year we had 28 different species that we helped with. So anything from your traditional dogs and cats and maybe your cattle and horses, but then we had a skunk and a raccoon and a sugar glider, a lizard, chinchilla, kind of you name it. We can help with any species because of our toxicology knowledge.
That's something else. We're just the regular dog and cat household. So I kind of want to ask that question referring to our dogs and cats. Is there any common food source that you receive more calls about? Like I've always heard, let's say, candy, for instance, is, chocolate is really bad, but there has to be a number of things. Is there any, one or two that you specifically get calls on?
Yeah, so food is one of our most common categories that we receive calls on. Chocolate is the number one call we receive every year. And since I've been here for 13 years, it's been our number one. We've been in business for 23 years, and I suspect it was number one before I showed up as well. And then, and you think a lot of households have it. It tastes good. It smells good. It's something that, people give as gifts. They cook with it. There's just a lot of opportunities for exposure. But chocolate isn't the only thing we get concerned about. We have to think about grapes and raisins, which can cause kidney failure to occur. And then onions and garlic. So onions and garlic are toxic. We get a lot of kind of, I would say, people disagreeing with that they're not toxic, but any of the foods in that allium species, which onions, garlic, scallions, all those types of things, those can actually cause damage to the red blood cells. And so they end up becoming anemic from that. And one thing I just like to point out with that too is that there's a lot of food and animal products, animal food, animal treats that might have some garlic powder or garlic salt or onion for flavoring.
Oh.
But those companies have really done their math. They've done their research, and so they're not going to be in a level that's of concern. But unfortunately, it is certainly something that we have to be careful with. And I can think of the Labrador that got into the Costco-sized bottle of garlic powder. He definitely developed all the things he should have because of poisoning.
Oh my goodness. Leave it to a lab. I've had several.
For sure.
Leave it to a lab. Okay, so tell us, so we're going to go online and we're going to the petpoisonhelpline.com, and it's 24/7. So who actually answers the calls? I call in, I have this, terrified, I'm worried to death that my dog or cat has just ingested something they shouldn't have. So who am I going to be talking with?
Yeah. And you know, I'm so glad you asked that question because in today's day and age, you sometimes don't know who you're speaking to on the other end of the line or if you're actually speaking to somebody. So when you call in, you are talking to a person. You're talking to somebody who has specialty training in toxicology. So that pet owner that would call in and talk with one of our registered or licensed veterinary technicians or a veterinary assistant who has had extensive work in practice, in clinical practice, and then additional training in toxicology. And then what's nice about our services is that we don't only tell you, yes, this is going to be a problem, no, this isn't going to be a problem, or what you might be able to do at home, but then we go a step further. So then our veterinary clinics talk with our veterinarians. So we're all licensed veterinarians. Many of us are boarded in veterinary toxicology or at least have additional training in toxicology. We all come with extensive clinical background, which means we've worked in a clinic. We know how to manage animals and treat animals. And so then our veterinarians, the veterinary clinics are able to call and talk with our veterinarians so we can give them very specific treatment recommendations. We can to give them step-by-step instructions of how to treat this particular animal that's been poisoned so that we can help them get it back home to their family.
That's amazing. And because it's 24/7, what would you say average for on an annual basis? How many calls are you receiving?
Yeah, we receive hundreds of thousands of calls every year. So we are very busy and it's a good thing and a bad thing. One, we're so happy to be that resource for pet owners, pet parents, and veterinarians to be able to call and allow us to help them get real accurate information. But it's also sad in the sense that our animals are getting into things. But you know, people are people, animals are animals. Things are going to get left out. Animals are going to get into things that they shouldn't. So we're just really grateful to be that resource.
Is there a way to find out if you have like one or two stories that you could share off the top of your head of some good outcomes?
Yeah. So going back to that, you know, that dog, that Labrador that got into garlic powder. So he ingested an extremely large amount, a life-threatening amount of garlic powder. And he developed really significant red blood cell destruction that caused him to become anemic. And so we were able to work with that veterinary clinic right from the get-go to try to help, one, minimize signs from developing. Unfortunately, he did still have issues developing, but we were able to work with that veterinary clinic about treatment in order to, you know, blood transfusion he had and additional supportive medications so that he could recover. And he did. He made a full recovery and went home to his family. And then we recently had a case, a very interesting case, another Labrador retriever. They are probably our top breed of calls, but not our only one by any means, that called us, and the dog ingested or chewed on a tube of 5-FU or 5-fluorouracil, which is a topical chemotherapeutic product drug for humans. And unfortunately, it has an extremely narrow margin of safety in animals. And there are not very many animals that ingest this product that actually recover and get to go back home. And this particular dog did all of the things we had expected it to do. It developed heart issues. It developed body tremors. You can have respiratory depression with that as well, and seizures. And with therapy and working with the veterinary clinic, we were able to be really aggressive with this particular dog, and he was able to make a recovery and go home. So that was a really feel-good one because unfortunately, the 5-FU particularly just often don't have a good outcome.
Yeah. And I noticed on your website you have now, it's called Toxin Tales. People are sending you photos and things like that. How does that work?
Yeah, so our Toxin Tales, it's a fun story that we send out every month. So we send out a news story every month on a case that we helped a pet owner or a veterinary clinic, usually both, on a unique toxin that maybe it's something that we rarely see. And we had one where there was a rodenticide, a rat bait that had been banned if in the US 30, 40 years ago. Or it might be something really common like chocolate or xylitol. It's just a way for us to be able to educate the community on different concerns that animals might have. The nice part about these stories is that they all have a happy ending. So who doesn't want a good feel-good story? And so we're able to educate, but also be able to show that the happy ending and the story behind the story, a little bit about that particular pet as well.
That's wonderful. So before I let you go, is there anything else you'd like our listeners to know? And what's the best place for them to learn more?
Yes. So I think it's really important that to educate on, don't take the wait and see approach when you are dealing with an animal that might have been poisoned. There's a lot of times when a pet might vomit and say, oh, I'm going to see how he feels through the day. I'll call the veterinarian later. But that doesn't work for us in toxicology. So if the animals potentially got into something that you think might be abnormal or might be poisonous for them, please call your veterinarian, call Pet Poison Helpline before anything you start to see signs. By the time these animals are acting abnormal, we're kind of behind, and it could be a difference between life and death for these pets. You can reach us at 855-764-7661. We've been in business for 23 years. We are staffed with many toxicology specialists. So we are here to be your best resource to help you determine if your pet got into something that needs to be treated or not.
Well, it's important stuff. So thanks for taking the time to talk with me today.
You bet. Thank you so much.
That's it for Fido Friendly Travel Talk. You have been listening to my guest, Dr. Renee Schmid, Director of Veterinary Medicine at Pet Poison Helpline. To find out more, visit their website at petpoisonhotline.com. And for more information about today's show or just about traveling with Fido, log on to fidofriendly.com. Until next time, travel safe and leave no dog behind. This is Susan Sims with Fido Friendly Travel Talk.